Hello, fellow food science students. I heard some people didn't know how to do the bar and line graph in Excel um, for our assignment, and I was like, well, once you know how to do it, it's pretty easy. It just requires a little bit of know-how and ingenuity, and so I decided to make this tutorial to help us all know how to do it. And so I've just put in some random numbers here for my concentration. So this will be my concentrations. Obviously our numbers will be different. So these are my concentrations from my samples. Now with Excel it's actually really easy because there's a couple of little hints that I can give you. Like if you put a 1 in here and drag this little thing down, it will actually copy the 1 going all the way down. So it'll copy it down to there or go all the way down. But obviously I don't want 1s because going all the way down. I want each one to be different. So if I do a 1, 2, I can then highlight both of those, and when I click and drag it actually counts down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The other thing is, with this little square on the bottom, if you double click it, it populates all the way down if it has data next to it. So it populated all the way down to 19 with all this data here. Okay, so for our lines, let's just pick some random things that we would have for a line. Let's say it would have the average, we would have the Australian standards, and let's say we have the toxicity, so what gets toxic. I'll just drag that across so we can see Australian standards there. Okay, so for average, one of the things that you can do in Excel is put in formulas. So if you do equals 4 plus 5, it gives you what the answer is. Whereas if I just typed 4 plus 5, it just comes out with 4 plus 5. So that equal sign at the start changes it to being a formula from just typing data. The other thing is, rather than being a formula, Excel also has some functions. For example, it has a function called average. So if I double click, as I probably go back, so you can start typing in what you want, and it comes up with a list of functions that have the same wording to it. So in this case, I want the average, which is the arithmetic mean. So I can double click on that, and it says put in the numbers that you want the average of. So I'll highlight, click and drag to highlight my numbers, press enter, and now I've got the average for all my concentrations. And what I can do from there is I can copy that, and I can paste, in this case I want to paste the value so that the number stays there. If I copy and paste, so if I go copy and I just paste normally, because when it copies this information here. So if I go across one, you can see that's B20 to B2 to B20. When it goes across, it turns into C2 to C20. So it goes from being over here to being over here. And of course, I don't want that when I have it up here. So just get rid of those. And so what I want to do with this is the same thing as I did before, where I want the same number going all the way down. So I just paste the value as opposed to just pasting normally. And then I just double click on that, and that populates all the way down. So my average is 0.47. So my standard, let's say the Australian standard is 0.6, and it gets toxic about 0.8. Obviously, you'll need to actually work those, find those out. And so rather than clicking on each individual one and double clicking, I can actually highlight both of these, double click on this little square, and it populates both of them all going all the way down. So if you find out all your values, just type them all the way across, highlight the lot, double click on that, and it will just populate all the way down, matching where your concentrations are. The reason we do this is because Excel will actually draw a line going from this point to this point to this point, and so we want this line to go all the way across all our samples. So I can get rid of that now, and now I can turn it into a bar graph. So highlight all of these, insert, I'll graph, and it's this little one here which is called a combo chart. So we click that down and we want to create a custom combo chart, because the way it does it is not very intuitive, because now if I just did it, clicked the normal one, it would make my average as a column as well, and I don't want my average to be a column, I want my average to be another line. So you just click on the little thing, make it a line, and now I've got 3 lines for my average, my standards, and my toxicity. And it's also put my samples in as a column as well, which I don't want, but I can't get rid of it right now. I'll have to do it in a second. And so now I do OK, and what I do here is I go up here to select data. This is the first thing I want to do, and I want to remove samples from my series in here. So that's basically my y-axis. My horizontal axis I need to edit as well, because at the moment it automatically populates this bottom here, so it could be I could want a different number from the sample over here to be over here, and so what I'll need to do is do edit, and then this little button to select the range, and then click and highlight the numbers that I want over here, or words or whatever. Now I just do this to say that's what I want. I press OK, and now it'll populate the bottom there as whatever numbers I have here, which was exactly the same, but you'll see why I wanted to talk about that in a bit. So OK, so that's all done. And the next thing we want to do is, say, add our access titles. So that's what this little plus sign over here is helpful. You can do it up here, but I just find it easier to do it from down here. But I want you to click on more access options, because this brings up this sidebar over here, and now I can actually change details of this chart. So one thing I don't like about this chart is these bars are going up, but they're not, they don't touch each other, they're not fat, they just kind of sitting out there on their own. And so what I can do is I can click on them, I can go over here to the series options, and I go down here to this gap width. So this is the gap between each of them, and I can decrease that gap width. So now there's no gap between them, and so they are the way that I want them to look. But now that they're all together, you can see how they're just kind of, they meld into each other. And so it's not very helpful to tell which one's which. And so what we want to do is click on it again, go over here, this is fill and border, and go down to the border, and we just want to put a border, so just a solid line, change it whatever color you want, and now you now have a border going around each of those bars, and so you can see each individual bar by itself. So the other thing that we want to, as you can see, that's fine, it's not brilliant, because these lines that go all the way across, they kind of stop in the middle of these bars, and so they go all the way across into a point. I like the look of that. Must be my OCD, don't know. But to get rid of that, what we need to do is click down here on the bottom axis, go across over here to access options, and then go down to access options again, and the access position on the tick box. That brings the lines over the edge, but now you can see that the line here and this one have kind of been half cut off to make that happen. So again, I like the look of that, and so I'm going to show you how to fix that. So we're going to get rid of the chart completely, because we're going to be changing quite a bit on it, and it's easier just starting with a new one. So first things first, we highlight all our data, and we want to move it down one. So we want to cut, and we want to go down one space, and we can paste, and that just moves everything down one. Now, what I want to do is I want to, oh, I can't spell concentrations, apparently. So the first thing up here, we want concentrations. I want you to put a 0 here, start, a 0 here at the end, leave the samples blank over the side, and we want to copy these lines up and these lines down. And then same thing, highlight and make a new table. So down to create custom table. Again, I want my average to be a line, I want my strain standards to be a line, my toxicity to be a line, I got my concentration as a column. Okay, now go up to select data, and once more remove our samples from that because we just want the bars to be the concentrations. Now this is where this changing the horizontal axis is really important, because down here you can see they automatically populate it. So this concentration of 0 is now number 1, and this concentration of 0 is now number 21. So you have this 21 1 sitting out here, which does not correlate with the actual sample number. And so that's why we go up here and edit the horizontal, select range, and what we want to do is select, including those empty spots under the samples. And what happens is, when we do that, down here now, this empty space now becomes the value for here, and this empty space becomes the value for over here. And so it just makes a nice little gap either side. So when we do OK, and we change our access options so that it's on the tick marks, now those lines go all the way across, and that half gap that was there before disappears. Again, click on the bars and get rid of that gap width, and go over and change the border. And of course, put in your access titles, because you'll want to have your access titles in there. You just click on them and you can just edit and be whatever you want. So that's the way to make it all look pretty. Obviously, you can change any of the colors. So if I wanted my concentrations to be in a nice grey with this lovely blue border there, actually, change that border. Maybe a lighter color like that. It looks a lot better, and you can just copy and paste this into your Word document. You can change where the legend is, or if you want it to be on the left hand side, or whether you want it on the right hand side. I think there is a standard for where it's supposed to be. I don't know what that standard is, so find that out for yourselves. But yeah, basically, the concentrations will be the concentrations we're given. You can calculate the average easily now, but you'll need to find out what these numbers are. So, and whatever numbers you want to put in there, where you want the strains, standards, toxicity levels, or whatever you want to put in there. But these are just the basics, just so that everyone knows how to make the graph, make it look a little bit better, and you can concentrate on your results and what things you can do to your discussion and actually looking up journal articles and that sort of thing. Well, hopefully this was helpful, and hopefully if you have any questions, just put it on Moodle, or just talk to me, or email, whatever. And hopefully that was helpful. And we'll see you tomorrow at Red School. Bye.